Hi, I'm Diana Rosa, and I've been working on a long path to get myself sciatic free, arthritis free, pain free. Most of what I'm going through is the result of an accident that I had where my car flipped over 3 times, and so I'm doing a lot of different things. And one of the things that I am wanting to add into this circle of choices really has to do with energy. And I'm here now with my friend Aron, who I've known for a long time and who is an expert at this. So Carol, I want you to talk a little bit about what that means, the energy field.
The energy field is everything. So your body is an energy field, your thoughts are energy fields, your emotions are energy fields, as well as everybody near you and beyond you. So we all are energy fields, and we sometimes collide fields together. So we pick things up from somebody and we automatically assume it's us and ours only, but that's not always the case. So it becomes tricky. And also products have energy. So like you're saying, you're trying different things to solve a situation, but maybe that energy is not compatible with your energy for what you're trying to do. So what I do is I can test energy, meaning I can feel a differential in the energy field. And as we're talking, I'm feeling normal. But if you were to say something or introduce something that weakened your field, I would feel that. It would be a difference in the feeling, and for me as an empath, a person who feels things physically, it starts to feel constricting. So my breathing is slightly constricted, or my whole body just feels like it's being moved in a bit. If something were to test positive for you, I'd feel expansive. My lungs, my chest cavity would feel larger. So that's one way. Another way is sometimes just knowing. Like that doorbell's going to ring for some reason and then suddenly it does. Well, that's what I get, the knowing. It comes in all different ways and it can be taught.
One of the things that you said is what I find. I'm doing a lot. I am trying to guide myself by different things that I've learned. I attended Hippocrates Health Institute this past winter and learned some things. I've added lots of greens and wheatgrass and sprouts and protein and vitamins and minerals and so much into my diet that I sometimes wonder exactly what you're saying. What am I doing that's right? What am I doing that may not be right for me? And where should I be putting the focus? So we had a chat the other day where you showed me how I can do that. It was with a pendulum.
Yes.
And so I want to now go through some of those protocols with you, but first explain about the pendulum.
Pendulum is a tool, and it's pretty handy because it's a physical tool, and we're used to physical reality, like picking up a telephone rather than telepathically talking to each other, right? So learning how to use the pendulum is great. All it is it's vibrating with your energy and your thoughts and your body, so that when you use it, and it will signal for you. But in order to, it looks like this, it dangles from a chain. It can be, this is a quartz crystal, but you can actually put a ring at the end of a chain and use that, as long as you have something that has a weight and it's able to move freely. Okay, so that would be a pendulum. So what I do is, in order to hold it steadily, I wrap it around a finger, and I used to hold it over my hand like this, and I found that it's more accurate for me if I hold it over the wrist. So that's what I suggest, because that's true for most people. So you're just telling me yes? For me, it starts to move, and my elbows are positioned on my body so that, and my hand is not moving, as you can see. So the pendulum is actually picking up the energy, and it's communicating it back. So when I say it works this way over my wrist, I get a validation, a big yes. Now I'm going to stop it. And the way I stop it is I just touch it on the skin, stop moving, and then I ask it to show me a no, something that weakens me, not good for me. hates me, in fact, and you see what happens, it starts to make this swing back and forth. The circle's lost. It's not there anymore. So now I know, thank you, that if I want to ask a question, I can get a clear answer. Newbies, when they do this, they forget that step. You slow it down, you get connected with this, and you ask for your yes and your strong or your weak and your no. And if you don't do that and you start asking complicated questions, you're going to get this, and it'll be more confusing than when you started.
All right, so then you have to be very clear when you ask these questions,
Yes.
so that it's easy to get a yes or no answer.
Yes, think more like a 4th grade or 3rd grade questions. Make it simple, break it down.
Okay. So I guess the step that I want to take, my next step, is to find out if what I'm doing is the right thing for me.
Right.
So I'd like to start by going through the different things that I do to see.
Exactly, because for example, what you just said, you might start saying, is what I'm doing good for me? Well, that's a broad question, right? So going through the steps and finding particular things and breaking them down, taking a little time, a little patience, will get you the answers you're looking for.
Okay, so to begin with, I am almost gluten-free, almost dairy-free, and almost sugar-free of every kind of sugar, including honey and what have you. So let's start with the gluten. Should I be gluten-free? And should I say, can I have any gluten? How do I target it so that it understands what I'm asking?
You can ask it, can I have small amounts of gluten? Since you've been gluten-free, it would make sense to start out with small amounts rather than eat a big bowl of pasta right off the bat, right? Because it'll pick up on your thoughts. You have an image in your mind when you make a thought. So when you ask, can I have small amounts of gluten, you can almost picture that, and that will help.
Okay.
So we're going to ask if Diana can have small amounts of gluten without harming her, without making her feel sick. See?
That almost makes me feel like it may mean that I can have more than small amounts, because it's a pretty strong answer.
So let's say that small amount might have been what? What do you think that might have meant for you?
Maybe a piece of bread.
Okay, a piece of bread. So would Diana be able to have, say, what would you like to ask?
Well, do I need to even restrict my gluten?
Okay, that's a good question.
No.
That's pretty interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And it started as a circle. As soon as I asked that question, it changed.
It did.
So it doesn't want me to restrict my gluten.
No, not it. It's you. It's your body that's saying we don't need to restrict the gluten. This is.
So then let's go to dairy, and let's first ask that why question. Do I need to restrict my dairy?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's saying yes.
So now, and that would make sense, because as you know, there's so many kinds of dairy, and there's so many qualities of dairy. So maybe you're eating raw versus pasteurized, or organic versus not. Dairy treated with BHRT or whatever.
So then let me see, do I need to restrict organic, like Amish dairy?
Okay, so I'm gonna make my mind go blank because I was asking if you can have it. So let's go on the same question.
Okay. Do I need to restrict the intake of dairy if it's organic, such as Amish dairy? It's saying no.
Yeah, I had to remove myself completely from the question so I wouldn't...
So in other words, I can have dairy, but only if it's the right kind of dairy.
Right, so think of a dairy product that's not so...
Can I have store-bought cheese? can I have store-bought cheese that I'm not sure if it's organic? No. No. Okay, so I can, then basically I can have any kind of dairy as long as it's organic is basically what this has told me.
Yeah, I purchase dairy cheeses
Mhm.
from certain stores where it's specifically labeled that it's not treated with the growth hormone and that it is certified organic.
Okay. So now let's go into the sugar. There's so many different types of sugar. Well, I mean, obviously I know that I can't have, sugar that's bad for me. But can I have
Like white processed
right?
sugar.
But can I have organic? Sometimes I read the labels and it says raw sugar,
Right.
or it says honey,
Or date sugar.
or date
coconut
sugar, or coconut sugar. So that's what I basically want to know. If the label says raw sugar, date sugar, honey.
Well, let me show you this, because sometimes you're in a store and you're looking at shelves of food, right?
Okay.
And it's a little cumbersome to have this and stop at each thing. But you can use something that some people call the sway test, meaning your body is the pendulum. So when you hold something like, let's say, white sugar, white processed sugar, you just hold it for a couple of seconds near you and you stand straight and you ask, is this good for me? And you will probably sway back. The body is resisting it. And when something is the okay sign, the green light for you, you tend to sway forward toward the product. And I do that with shampoos, I do it with all kinds
And so
of
you
things.
just hold it close
So
enough
let's
that
say
you can...
this is the sugar, right? And I'm standing, and I hold it like this. And what will happen is you just lightly lean forward or to the side. If you lean to the side like I just did, because
Then it's a maybe.
it's like, yeah,
It's not terrible.
yeah. But if I imagine that this is, say, grass-fed organic yogurt, see, now I can see what happens. I almost fall forward.
Okay.
So you can do it with your mind like that. You can test a product. I had a lady come to the house who was a doctor trained, and she was quite disbelieving in this. And she asked me, well, how does that work? And so I took folded paper, and she was having boyfriend problems, several boyfriend problems. I said, write their names on paper. And I gave it to another person, and she shuffled them and gave it back. And I said, just choose one and hold it. And the first one she held catapulted her back. She fell like to the side of the sofa.
When she was thinking of the boyfriend.
She didn't think. She had no idea which one it was because the papers were folded. That's what I wanted her to experience. And she said, what was that? And I said, I have no idea, which I didn't. And she opened it and she said, that was my ex-husband. Let's do another one. She was all excited because it carried the energy. Energy reads energy.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, so I think you've given me an understanding of how to do that. And I can also do the pendulum thing if I get something that's heavy on the end.
Yes.
And I can go through the list. All right, so what is now, in your mind, knowing what we've discussed and the different issues I'm facing and such, and what we've just discussed now, what do you think are the next steps?
The next steps for me, like we're working right now on things that you ingest, right? Things that you eat and drink and don't and so forth. I like to go down the rabbit hole a little further and see what else is affecting this. Could it be a trauma you had? Could it be some emotional baggage that's being carried? Either by you or you're caring for someone else and don't realize it, It could be a spiritual experience. It can be so many different things, and that's where the fun really comes in. Because now we're investigating. We're investigating beyond the foods and the vitamins and things like that. And that's where the experience is more holistic. Now it's all of you.
Stay tuned. We're going to be bringing you more. I hope that what Carol has educated me with today is going to help somebody else out there. And certainly feel free to reach out to us and make any comments. We'd love to hear from our audience.
I sure would.